7:04, and I will call to order the Cohasset Advisory Committee meeting of Wednesday, March 11th at 7 p.m. Our meeting is being held virtually, which is allowed by state law under a declaration of state emergency previously noted. Hello, how's everybody?
Oh, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. Sorry for the technical issues. I do have one little housekeeping item that I would like to mention before we start. One of our members requested that we do a compilation vote on some of the housekeeping items, but those items that he noted are not on the agenda tonight, so we won't be talking about them anyway. There is one, Article 14. Mark?
Could someone let Mark Maggi in?
Oh,
I'm
there he
here.
is.
I was here, and then when Jean joined, I dropped the meeting somehow. Now I'm back.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we will start with Article 25, the Citizens Petition Noise Control Bylaw.
You want
Roll call.
to take
Or
attendance?
need a roll call.
Roll
I'm
call.
sorry. I am so backwards right now. I've been trying for 20 minutes to get on here. Okay, so we'll do a call to order, which I already did at 7:04, and a roll call, please. Tom Callahan,
I'm Callahan here.
Mike Flaherty,
Mike Flaherty here.
Courtney Murphy,
Courtney Murphy here.
Mark Maggi,
Mark Maggi here.
Diane Kennedy,
Diane Kennedy here.
Mark Cameron,
Mark Cameron here.
Vince Thornton,
Vince Thornton here.
and Gina Stino here. Okay, now we'll talk about it. I already talked about the housekeeping articles outside of the call to order, but that's okay. So we will look at Article 25, Citizens Petition for the Noise Control Bylaw. Michelle, is Fran Collins here?
I don't see him.
Okay, well, we can go to the next item until he does come.
Okay.
There are a lot of participants watching, so.
We have several participants here for the citizens petition for open space and recreation.
Okay, well, why don't we do 26, Citizens Petition Wheelwright Park? Is Virginia here?
She is.
Great, okay. Hi, Ginny.
Hi, Virginia LeClaire, Ginny LeClaire, 82 Pond Street. I also have with me, if you could let into the room, Marianne Weatherfield, she's a member of the Open Space Committee, and she's going to be speaking as well.
I'm sorry, Ginny, Marianne Weatherall?
Yes, Weatherall.
Sure.
Yes.
There's several other members. I don't know if there's anybody else you want to promote in.
If there's other members of the Open Space Committee, yes. I wasn't sure who all was going to be on the call. I think
Sure,
Marissa.
we have Connie Afshar.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. Anyone who's on the Open Space Committee is welcome to join.
Okay.
Great. So this is my first time presenting to advisory, so please let me know. One, can you see me or can you only hear me?
We can only hear you. Can you turn on? Do you have a camera?
I do.
They're all being promoted to panelists at the moment, so it's just going to take a minute for them all to come in.
That's fine. Thank you.
And please let me know, how would you like me to start off? This is my first time presenting to advisory. Should I just go right into the article?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay. So once again, Ginny LeClaire, 82 Pond Street. I am the chair of the Open Space Committee, and I'm joined by other members of the Open Space Committee as well, who will speak on this article. Our article is a citizen petition, affirmation of Wheelwright families' intent and restriction of development in Wheelwright Park. It's to see if the town will vote to formally affirm and uphold the original intent of Wheelwright family expressed in the wills of Edward Wheelwright, Henry A. Wheelwright, and Josephine Wheelwright, and in recorded 1917 deeds conveying the land to the town of Cohasset in the trust that the land now known as Wheelwright Park should be used solely for passive public recreation and preserved in its natural state. And further, that no development, construction, or installation of structures inconsistent with the family's stated intent, including but not limited to any cell phone towers, telecommunications facilities, or other commercial, industrial, or municipal structure shall be permitted or on any portion of Wheelwright Park and or take any action thereto. Our requested actions are to affirm the Wheelwright family's original intent that the land now comprising Wheelwright Park be preserved solely for passive recreation and natural open space. Prohibit the siting, construction, installation, leasing, licensing, permitting of any cell phone tower, telecommunications facility, commercial use, municipal building, and any other development inconsistent with the family's stated intent for a natural public park. And thirdly, recognize and uphold the trust obligations recorded in the 1917 deeds and rooted in Wheelwright wills. So that is our intent of our article. And I can explain a little bit of the background of this article and how the citizens petition has come to be. So the Open Space Committee is not against public safety, and we do not deny that cell phone reception in the area is poor. But we believe that there are alternative sites that are more acceptable, that are undisturbed open space, and that is not protected under Article 97 land, and that is not formally designated as a park and has been so in the deed. We have asked the town multiple times for alternatives, and none have been presented. We presented to the Board of Selectmen last night, and we asked for alternative scenarios to be shown other than Wheelwright Park, and what alternatives have been investigated. The committee believes that the land swap that has been negotiated, and the property that is the 3A property that was originally purchased for the fire station, and then when that did not go through, became mitigation for this project, is already previously disturbed, mostly wetlands, and not equal in value to the pristine, untouched Wheelwright Park. The town we also believe that there are other ways, instead of putting a 160-foot monopole in Wheelwright Park, that technology has been rapidly changing since this article was first proposed in 2022, that technology such as Starlink, satellites, and 5G boosters can be used as a alternative to disturbing Wheelwright Park. We also feel that the public was misled at town meeting, that the town manager spoke regarding the disruption to open space, that it was tucked away in the corner of Wheelwright, where in reality it's very close to the trail. Access to the park will be severely disturbed during the construction. Over 30 trees will be removed according to wireless technology. And we've asked to see the agreement of wireless communications, which was presented to us yesterday at 5 o'clock. We understand that that the town has signed into an agreement with wireless communications, and we are asking that this kind of disrespect for open space and lack of transparency not to continue within town government. And we are asking that as we are currently undergoing an open space planning process, we are updating our open space plan. And one of the things that we're going to be looking very carefully at is all of our properties that are town owned, that have deeds that have expired, that we place conservation restrictions on those lands, and that we really fully understand the intent of these lands that we believe to be protected by the town. And we are interested in changing the zoning of Wheelwright Park, which is currently zoned as residential B, to open space, and putting a conservation restriction on the remaining part of this land. We would like to work with an organization that can help us do this. This may be something that costs the town money. So we're asking that revenue from, if this project would go through, it still needs to go through conservation, building permits need to be granted, as well as planning department. So if this project would go through, we are asking that the revenue from the cell phone tower be dedicated to Wheelwright Park and open space. This is, from what we understand, going to be revenue that the town would be receiving annually, and we ask that there be a revolving fund dedicated to the maintenance of Wheelwright Park and an open space. We also ask that the 30 trees that are proposed to be cut down be replaced. I believe our town bylaw may have for every one tree cut down, 2 trees are replaced. So replacement of trees. And while Wheelwright Park may not be the appropriate place for that because of watering and maintenance and management, these funds to replace these trees go into a tree bank, so that we could replace these trees wherever in town that can be properly watered and maintained. We ask that the removal of the cell phone tower be built into the contract once the cell phone tower becomes obsolete, which we believe is the future of it, and that the park be restored to its original pristine nature. We are investigating and asking for an appropriate exchange of land based on the land swap that has been discussed in the Article 97 legislation that was signed with the state. Again, we do not believe this is equal value, and we are asking for alternatives of land that would be of equal value. I'm going to pause there so that Marianne or other members of the Open Space Committee can add any additional comments.
Hi, thanks, Jenny. Can everyone hear me? My video seems not to be working, so I just wanted to speak.
Before you start, Marianne, I do have a hand up, so I don't know if it's a question for Ginny or not. So
Okay.
1 second, okay, Diane?
Oh, did I put my hand up? I'll wait till their presentation's over.
Okay, great.
Questions.
Okay.
Thanks.
Great. Okay, go on, Marianne. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marianne Weatherald. I live at 49 Redgate Lane. I also used to live on Jerusalem. I'm to give some background on me. I'm on the Community Preservation Committee. I'm on the Central Cemetery Board. Also a former Conservation Commission member. I was involved in Conservation Trust, and I was also on a citizen committee that created the Scenic Road Bylaw, and now I'm on Open Space, and I have been for a number of years. Regarding this, what we are looking to do is just set the record straight going forward that open space and recreation is respected going forward, as we are required to create a 10-year plan. We want to make sure other lands are not overlooked, and that even though there may be an option to reach out to CPC money to find better funding for this land, we don't think that's correct, and that we would want the money to be a dedicated fund, to go into a fund to support the Open Space and Recreation Committee, a revolving fund. This would be, if the money came from CPC, it would compete with other projects such as affordable housing or historic, outdoor recreation, and would probably get lost. So that's why we are looking for a dedicated fund to support this. And also, as Jenny mentioned, we'd like to rezone Wheelwright to a conservation restriction, just to make sure this land and future land is available to Cohasset citizens to enjoy, to walk the land, walk the trails, enjoy for Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. And it was disappointing to hear that the town overtook this land and did not have a really public hearing about it. So we'd like to set the record straight. In addition, we had talked about trees. We'd like to have an exchange of trees, 30 trees as well, to correct this. And there still needs to be more discussed about getting a conservation approval for this and a building permit as well. So there's still time to see what we can do to correct the problem. Again, as Ginny mentioned, we are not against public the against about creating safety issues at all. Having lived on Jerusalem Road, I know very well about not having access to phone service and being on beaches without getting access to 911. So this would be a great tower. We just think perhaps it was selected for the wrong location. Thank you.
Thank you. Does Marisa have anything to add? Marisa, your microphone is off.
Oh, it's Marissa.
Oh,
Marissa.
sorry.
Marissa or Connie.
I guess she
I'm
doesn't have
sorry.
anything that she wants to say.
Sorry, I was
Okay.
waiting. I thought maybe Marissa, would you like to go? Would you like to say something? Okay, so I'll, as a member of the Open Space and Recreation Committee, thank you for giving us an audience. We appreciate it. I would say, for me, it's a sad day. It's a really sad day because these lands are absolutely beautiful. The setting where the cell tower is going to go is a really, really beautiful piece of property that is used by many, many people. I know there are signs in there directing trails that Tom Callahan has done with Peter Pescatore, our former chair of our committee. And it's just pristine and beautiful. And I walk a lot on the trails. And I know, for example, if I go up on Turkey Hill, seeing the ex-Nike tower and the big cell tower up there, it really is a deterrent if you're looking for nature and you're looking for pristine natural beauty, which, we are blessed in this town to have a lot of it. So, unfortunately, by the time we became aware of what had already preceded us with the town negotiations with the vendor, etc., we were behind the 8 ball. But we've met with town council, so we understand the difficulties right now if we were trying to change. I mean, it's really progressed a long way, but I do think it's sad and it's unfortunate. And if you go around town and you ask people, nobody knows about this. Very, very few people have any idea about this. And unfortunately, that's not necessarily the select board's fault. It's in part just, there's not a central way of communicating. But definitely there has not been enough communication, particularly about what, the plans, where it's going, how it's going to be done, how that's going to impact Forest Ave, all the parking that's going to go along there, the expansion of the road going over the culvert, etc. And it's very disappointing that there wasn't more effort put forward to find an alternative place for this cell tower to go, other than in, a natural reserve, a park that had been, dedicated to the town for recreation and beauty. So, and I agree with everything our chairwoman has said and with what Marianne has said. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, was there, excuse me, was there any conversation last night about alternatives, or is the select board looking into it? I wasn't able to watch the meeting, so I didn't see the presentation or hear the conversation.
I'll let Jenny comment on that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did talk about that. We asked for them to provide us documentation on the alternatives that were presented. They talked about 2 men driving around in a car holding a device out the window and And that's how they determine this. But I believe that there's probably more to it than that. I hope that this decision that went to town meeting and went to legislature and got 2/3 vote to reverse Article 97, that there was a report. And that's what we asked to see. We asked to see a report showing why the transfer station, which is not even a half a block or a half a mile away, is not the appropriate place. We asked to see other alternatives considered. So we're waiting on that report.
Okay, so it's still a work in progress then.
Yes, and we've been asking for that report for over a year and a half.
Okay, well, we'll start asking for it.
Thank you.
Diane?
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to get weirdly politically surgical here because that's kind of my role. I think the intent of the article is something that I'm generally supportive of, but I have a couple questions. One is, you are talking kind of through the voice of the Open Space and Rec Committee. So I wonder, A, whether the committee worked through the select board to get this article or this request onto the warrant outside of a citizen's petition, because it's in here as a citizen's petition. So I just wonder whether the committee made a recommendation to the select board earlier in the process to have them work it into the warrant. And then the other important question I have is, because you gave us a lot of information about setting up funds and trees and everything. And I guess what is the actual ask of town meeting? Because reading through the citizens petition as it is, it's really just to restore the intent. And I think obviously in the motion, there'll be some more details. And I just want to understand that. What is the actual action of town meeting going to be? And then we're going to need to understand what the ramifications are on the other side in terms of what might happen. But based on this general reading of this article, there's nothing here about creating a fund for money and all that jazz. So
would you like me to answer now?
Yeah, please go ahead. I'll be quiet. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you wanted to go through the other hands raised, so that's why I asked. You are 100% correct. And the way this came about was that the Open Space Committee, thoroughly frustrated with requests to the town being met, going on deaf ears, drips and drabs. It felt intentional that we were not getting the information that we've been requesting. And so we, as a committee, voted to put an article on the warrant, and the citizens petition was our means of putting it on the warrant. Hindsight, we probably should have gone through the Board of Selectmen and put it on that way. I would say it was just a lack of experience, honestly, that's why we did a citizens petition, was that we said, oh, we just need 10 signatures and we can get it on. So we talked with the town clerk, and so it was really just lack of experience is why we went that route. Again, lack of experience is why the citizens petition does not have everything in it that we talked about. So we hope to talk to town council to see if this is something that we can file a substitute motion, either on the ground floor of town meeting, that would add in these things that we talked last night with the Board of Selectmen or with and with you. We also hope that a lot of these questions that we have and requests could be resolved prior to town meeting. I mean, ultimately, that would be the goal, is that we could, between now and May, have some kind of contract written up, have some kind of understanding that, that this wasn't done correctly, but we can make repairs to this. It's very awkward as a town committee to be going against the town in this way. We don't want to be doing this. We did not want to be doing this. We are, it's taken so much focus away from our main goal of the open space plan. And we will be coming before the select board within the next month to be presenting the open space plan. So I'll stop there.
If I could just add, thank you for that. That's very helpful. For us, or for me anyway, in reviewing an article and ultimately making a recommendation to town meeting on it, I would certainly feel more comfortable deferring making that recommendation till I knew the full, action reaction type thing. So I encourage you to keep the conversations going in any way we can be helpful. I also live in a house that near where Marianne used to live, which has absolutely no cell phone service, and am absolutely have been a voice for changing that as much as possible for safety reasons. So I'm very pro cell phone tower, but I'm very pro it needs to be where it makes sense being. And anyway, so I look forward to continued conversations.
Courtney?
Gina, I'll pass. I think that Diane's questions addressed all my questions.
Great.
I just, full disclosure, I live in that neighborhood. It's a problem. It's a real problem. But I am an open space fan, and I appreciate all the information today. It's brand new to us. To your point, Ginny, this has not been well communicated, I guess, because all I hear is they might put a tower. So I think, just for the point of the committee, this is a lot of new information. It's good information. It's a lot of new information to me, at least.
I agree. And I think that we need a lot more information if you want to present this to town meeting and have a meaningful vote, because the last thing you want to do is go to town meeting, have it defeated, and then come back again with more information that should have been in the first citizens petition. We've seen it happen over and over and over here. So in this case, more is better. Usually less is better. But in this case, more is better, because we have friends that live in that area, and man, it's a challenge. And when your kids go to the beach and they have an accident and can't get in touch with a parent or someone else, it is a problem. I absolutely agree. But I think that we need more information in order for the public to be well informed. And I would also like to hear what the Board of Selectmen come up with, or the Select Board, new name, sorry, what the Select Board come up with for alternatives to that location. And I'd also like to see where the report is, just out of curiosity. So Tom, you had your hand up next, and then Mark.
I was a former member of the Open Space Committee as well, and I've walked every trail in that park, every inch, doing trail signs and checking on them. And I was out there in the fall checking on signs and what needs to be replaced, and saw the site of this. And it's an absolute travesty that this is happening. And I would love to see the opinion of town council that said this was legal, given what the wheelwright restrictions are. I'm familiar with them. I've known about this for 2 or 3 years, but preoccupied with the zoning bylaw reform, I kind of just couldn't put more on my plate to deal with it. But I support the spirit of this article, but I echo Diane's concerns that certainly all your objectives are not in the article, so that it's insufficient in that respect. I don't know if you can amend it. Citizens petitions have special rules with them, but the other thing I'm concerned about is this process is too far along to stop this. If that's the objective, is to stop the tower in this location, I don't know if I think it might be too late. If contracts have been signed and state legislation has been passed, I don't know that can be done. But certainly this went under the radar. Yes, it went to town meeting, but I don't think anybody knew what really was at stake here. And it's an absolute travesty of where this is going to go if you'd see it. It's going to effectively block, for my guess, one of the trails that goes from the main trail up to one of the White property. It's going to change the character of the Forest Ave side of the park. It's just horrible that it was done. I mean, I can't believe that the town dump, whatever we call it, a short distance away couldn't have been an equally good site. I don't think a half mile or whatever it is, quarter mile, could make that much of a difference. I appreciate the problems people have there with their cell phones, but there, I agree. I think there is a lack of respect for the open space sometimes in any local government, state government. And we need to change those priorities, but I would support this article, but I don't think it'll be successful, not for all the things you want to do. And certainly I'm worried that this is too far along, but I would press town council on what the legality of this was. The restrictions the wheelwrights put on this property were pretty clear. And yes, they're over 100 years old, but they still apply. And I'm just wondering how this was allowed to happen in the first place. But anyway, that's what if you get a chance to go out there, it's just a travesty of what is going to be impacted by this. So.
Thanks, Tom. I agree that it would be
And
interesting to
being raised.
hear what, yes, I see. Just a minute. I understand what you're saying about town council, so that's an interesting thought. Mark, I see your hand up, but I'm going to let Mary Ann speak first because she's a member of the committee and she may have something to add that will help us. So if you could speak, Mary Ann.
Yes, thank you very much, Jean. I just wanted to flag to Diane Kennedy that we had conversations with the select board and the select chair early on and had flagged to her that we were very concerned about this. And so this wasn't new to them. And they even came to our meetings or the chair came to our meeting to discuss it with us. So because we were not receiving any information and putting out so many requests, this was a last ditch, like Hail Mary, like we need your attention now. And that's why this petition was created, to put it in front of the town and say, this has got to come to an end and that we must address this. Also, Tom Callahan talked about Forest Ave. You may not realize how large this is. It's not just a cell tower. From Forest Ave, this is a wide road going into the forest, and it's going over a culvert, which that's why Conservation Commission has to look at it a bit too. And it goes in pretty far, and then it's going to have a chain link fence around it, very wide. So this will definitely change the look, and it's going to have parking spaces that are like into Wheelwright Park as well, to have some like 4 or 5. So while this petition is to alert the town on it, we may not get we may not get the tower at this point, or we can't stop the tower. We understand that with the legislation, but at least we can have a background conversation with the town and see if we can get some other issues addressed. And that's what we'd like to do. And that's what perhaps we can talk to them and get this rezoned, or we can get a better exchange of land, because you may not also know this as well, is they offered us a piece of land that wasn't even equivalent to this property. It was it's not even a value, and it's just not a quality piece of property that's on forest, or rather on 3A. So there's a lot to discuss as well with the town. It's just such a disrespect for what they wanted to take from the town citizens.
Thank you.
I would just say, I just wish, you need to find out if you can amend it.
All right,
Because
we'll look into that, Tom. I'm going
it's-
to let Mark speak next, please.
So I was just kind of to Tom's point there, just the legality of this at this stage. Like, what is now that it's gone through the state house and the governor signed it, what would we be, what's even the process for this, even if we wanted to do this, right? And then what are the contractual obligations that we've committed with the cell carriers and the folks putting this up, like termination of the contract, what are the ramifications of that? Needing to understand that. And I think, this isn't my recollection of this from the town meeting was it was kind of sold as over by their old radio tower, which, again, I walk the trails there. I love it. And it was perceived like it was going to be near that. We couldn't reuse exactly the old base that was the radio tower. And in fact, I think it's cool to even walk in there and see the old radio tower from years ago. And, maybe if this actually goes up, people 50 years from now will feel the same way about this. But again, I'm not really I've heard the culvert. I think sharing the communication of what the actual plans for it are, because I haven't even seen it myself. And I like to think that I pay attention to these things. And I think it's just, we got to at least put the information out there of what this looks like, because just talking about it doesn't put it in context for most people picking it up for the first time. So I think that having some details about where it's located, it would be helpful. Support the mitigation efforts. If this is said there in the mitigation, again, I don't know how, we weigh in on that here. It seems like a very yes or no vote here for this. And I don't think we really have the ability to weigh in on the specific mitigation components as if this was like a negotiation of some sort. So those are kind of my comments. And again, I guess if this thing gets built, are there ways to make it blend into its surroundings? I mean, we've seen cell towers that have been disguised as trees, and maybe it just sort of helps it disappear into into its surroundings. So I don't know if those are opportunities. Again, I'm not sure where this is at contractually and what can be changed.
So we need to look into that. Ginny?
I can answer some of those questions. So based on our conversation with town council last week, and this happened really quick. We had our meeting with town council last week, and then we're meeting with you this week. So not a lot of time has transpired where we could do a little bit more digging. But from what town council told us last week was that the town had entered into a contract with Wireless Communications, and that so she was walking through the process of this, that if we would be successful at town meeting, then since the town, if we were successful at town meeting, since the town has already entered it into a contract with Wireless Communications, it would be up to the town at that point, the Board of Selectmen, to say if they're going to even honor the ruling at town meeting of the citizens petition. If they honor the ruling, they could be potentially in breach of contract and sued by Wireless Communications because they've already entered into a contract. They could ignore the citizens petition in that it was voted so at town meeting, in which case, the Open Space Committee could potentially rally the town around, getting the Board of Selectmen to respect the vote of town meeting. And then we could go through the process of getting Article 97 reversed. And I have worked in other communities where I've seen Article 97 reversed and land changed from Board of Selectmen land to school committee land for purposes of buildings and other things. So it's not unfathomable that this can be done. It can be done, but that's what town council told us about the legal aspect of it. I have a map that I can share, but I can read to you that what it's going to be. It's a 160-foot monopole. It's proposed the wireless telecommunications equipment compound, so like the fence and the little building for it, is 75 by 75. And the existing trailhead would be upgraded supposedly by Wireless Communications because they're going to have to replace the culvert because the truck is going to be so large to get into and around the bend. You know, it's very windy when we walked it and up the hill. That existing culvert is too small to support the size of these trucks. So they're going to have to put a monster culvert in, widen the trail, cut down trees. I would imagine that they're going to even have to cut into rock and ledge along the trail because I can't imagine a truck being able to fit. But that's just that's what we're thinking. And then the final part that we didn't mention already is the continued maintenance. So it's going to be a maintenance road, just like what is behind the schools to access the water tower. And so you're going to have maintenance trucks coming in there to access the cell phone tower. And again, that just completely changes the feel of a park. But we do have full intent to go back to town council tomorrow. I'll email them and ask them, you know, how exactly can we if we can modify our citizens petition to include all of the things that we mentioned to you. If we're not able to do that, our original intent was really just to make sure that the community knew that this was happening. As Connie mentioned and Marianne mentioned, that the Open Space Committee didn't even know about this because nobody came to us. And the members that were at town meeting didn't fully, myself included, didn't fully understand what was being presented. So the original intent, you know, that you would be voting on if I come back to you to say that we're not able to add those other things would be, you know, to have it be put back into Article 97. But, you know, I know that a lot of that ship has sailed, but it's also hopeful that we can have open dialogue with the Board of Selectmen, as I mentioned before, and a lot of this could be resolved in that manner.
Thank you. Mike Barclay.
Hey, Ginny, quick question for me. That plan that you have in your hand, how long has that been in existence and when was it first socialized?
We received copies of it when we toured the property when was that, Marianne and Connie? I think we toured it in the
I think
fall,
it was in the springtime. It
spring.
was
Okay.
right.
And we
Because
can
I think it
share
was
this with you.
it was the leaves were up there, so it was interesting when they said they floated up a balloon and they didn't see it. They didn't see where the tower might end. And we thought to them, well, they never took pictures, or at least to show us. And second, well, when the leaves are gone, what's the view then? So
those more or less almost 12 months since the plans were originally kind of drafted, you know, socialized with you.
Yes, and the date of the plan is 10/10/24.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. So looks like you have a little bit more work to do. And please keep us informed of the progress that you have with the select board and with with legal counsel. And we'll look forward to hearing from you again. We really can't take action on this because we really feel, I think you got the consensus that it's not really ready for prime time because there are too many moving pieces that aren't so solidified.
Okay, and what is our deadline with you? When do you need to vote on this? When do you want us to come back to you?
Warrant closes and has to get ready to be published on April 1st.
Oh.
we have about 2 weeks.
That's it.
Okay.
Jean, if I may, yeah, I mean, technically, we review articles to make recommendations to the select board before their votes for recommendation and or to town meeting. I think there's probably enough work and enough substantive questions that need to get asked that we need answers for in order to make an informed decision on the details, on the ramifications beyond what our personal feelings are about something. And I think that's going to take longer. So the worst case scenario is, even though the warrant's going to go to the printer on April 1st, it can go without recommendations, and those can be done at town meeting. That's not ideal, because ideally, but for the articles that the select board are putting on the warrant, we should have more answers on that because they've been working on those for a year. Citizens petitions are a little different. It's great when you get a warrant and you have the votes of all the relevant committees, but if they don't happen for the reasons of we're all trying to get the right answers so we can make appropriate recommendations, then I say I wouldn't push because I don't think we're going to have the answers by April 1st.
And to Diane's point, when you walk into town meeting and you're handed the extra packet of motions, those are things that aren't necessarily recommended before the warrant closes. Those are things that are settled after. So while the warrant closes on April 1st, you do have a few more weeks to figure it out. I wouldn't sit on it.
No, I have a meeting scheduled with Glenn Pratt. He reached out to me as well as Katie Holden. Katie has some ideas of 3 alternative properties that could be viable. And Glenn has offered to sort of walk us through what's happened. So he might have information. So I'm hoping between those two and then open dialogue with the board that we'll have and town council that we'll be able to present to you something that you can vote on.
Great. And I think that if you do that and you have that meeting and come up with another viable place to put the cell tower, I think that you kind of would avoid some of the legal problems about breach of contract, et cetera, with the cell companies. So I think it's all good conversation. And again, just keep us posted because I think you'll probably be coming back.
Thank you. We appreciate your input. It's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And for the rest of the committee, the current version of the warrant, I read that this was Article 26 for the citizens petition. It's actually number 27, but as we know, those numbers shift and change a little bit as time goes on. So you might want to note it as Article 27 for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Is Fran Collins here yet, Michelle?
He is.
Okay. Can you promote him, please?
Sure.
And FYI, this citizens petition for the noise control bylaw is number 26 in the current version of the warrant.
Oops. All right. Gene, I didn't hear what you said. Well, they would switch me over to be a panelist. So
No, I just said that the articles are numbered differently on our agenda than they are in the current version of the warrant.
Okay.
So you're number 26 now. You got pushed up.
Oh boy.
Or pushed back rather.
Yeah. So my citizens petition is to ban the use of gasoline-powered leaf blowers and weed whackers for 2 reasons. One is that they absolutely destroy any domestic tranquility you have in and about your property. I have five homes in my immediate neighborhood that all use lawn mowing services, and they all use 2-3 different different leaf blowers, and the noise sometimes is just unbelievable. It's just crazy. I had my immediate neighbor, I finally had to ask him, would they please stop on the weekends or at least stop on Sundays? You can't sit outside and have a cup of coffee or read a book or listen to the birds. It's just incredible. So that sounds like a grouchy old man with an axe to grind. However, I've spoken as I've appeared before the selectmen twice. My phone rang practically off the hook with people saying, boy, we certainly agree with you. So I ended up making a citizens petition, and I had to get 10 signatures. I got 20. I probably could have had 100 or more. And the interesting thing is that since COVID, and a lot of people are working from home. Curiously enough, the town lawyer, when I talked with her, she said the same thing. She was working from home and she opens the window to get some fresh air and to sit out on her porch, and she's tormented by these gasoline powered leaf blowers. So it's a big problem. There are other alternatives today. There are excellent electric machines. Now, any machine that moves air is going to make noise. That's a given. But any machine that moves air that's powered by a gasoline engine makes a lot more noise, and that's a fact. So the fact is that they can buy electrically powered machines that would be much more quiet and would do the job. One of my people that signed for me lives up on Hammond Avenue, and right adjacent to the Hayes Estate with the toll. Brothers built the big project in there. He says they go in there with 4 or 5 or 6 truckloads of workers doing that. And he says the noise is just crazy. It's all day long. So I think the time has come to take some action on our noise control bylaw, which basically says you can't do any work between, 7 o'clock at night and 8 o'clock the next morning. Well, that's fine. That's wonderful. And then it also talks about some decibel levels, but in no way does it talk about these particularly annoying machines. Somebody said to me, what about chainsaws? Well, the only time you hear a chainsaw is when a tree has to come down, or we have a blizzard or a hurricane or something. And then, then you have to accept that some of this stuff comes with noise. But when we look at day after day after day from the 1st of April to they were in my next door neighbor's yard here, 23rd of December, mowing the grass. There's no grass to mow, but they had the leaf blowers going. So I would like to see our zoning or our noise control bylaw be amended to say you can't use them. That's all there is to it. They can use electric things, and they're going to squawk about how expensive it is. But I noticed that this is big business with these landscaping people. I don't see any of them driving, secondhand trucks or broken. They all got nice brand new equipment. So obviously they make a lot of money, and good for them. But if you buy a couple of spare batteries, they last a long time, and they're not buying any gasoline. Oh no, there's an interesting point too. The pollution aspect. It was reported to me by several people that they read a report somewhere. I didn't see it personally. They said that an hour's use of a leaf blower is equivalent to driving a truck like my pickup truck cross country. That's incredible. So it's one of these incremental things. Well, I'm not making any pollution. No, but you and 40 or 50 other people are all adding to the air pollution. We don't need that either. So that should go away. The weed whackers, they have very well designed, very efficient battery powered weed whackers. So I'd be open to any questions that you have, but I would really hope that you would vote in the affirmative to support this citizens petition.
Thanks, Fran. Michael?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Hi, Fran. Mike Flaherty.
Hi.
Totally agree with the noise and the headaches that they cause, but I have a couple questions. If we were to vote in favor of this petition, have you considered what would a phase-in regiment look like? We just can't stop it immediately. Would we give people time to phase in the electric equipment? And then also, I did do some research today to see what surrounding towns, do they have a ban? And assuming my research was correct, I couldn't find Hull, Situate, Marshfield. They don't seem to have any of these noise bans related to gas-powered leaf blowers. So I just want to be thoughtful that if we go ahead with it, we don't do more harm to the greater population than what we're trying to solve for. But I didn't know if you had thought that through.
Yeah, good question, Michael. There are 8 towns in the eastern part of the state that have them, and I should have the paper in front of me, and I don't, that have complete bans on these machines. And there are 2 others, Swampscott and Marblehead, that ban them from Memorial Day to Labor Day. So this isn't something new. I think it's Brookline, Newton, Wellesley. I should be able to give you that. I don't have it in front of me. And I'd like to have it going in effect right now, but of course, that's not fair. So it would have to probably go and maybe start as, let's say we pass it in Maytown meeting. It's got the town clerk's got a month to look at it. She sends it to the attorney general, who has 4 months to look at it. So that would be up in September or October. So I would think, to be fair to the contractors, probably going to affect the first of the year. That would give them plenty of time to upgrade their equipment and get whatever they need. And I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Okay. Diane?
We just passed I think it was the noise bylaw just a few years ago. Fran, would these machines already be covered under that during that time period? Or is it just construction noise?
Just construction noise. There's nothing talked about that stuff.
So in other words,
here we go. Right here.
Currently somebody could use their blower, and I might possibly live with somebody that has a gas powered leaf blower that goes out at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here are the towns. I have it. It's Arlington, Belmont, Brookline, Cambridge, Concord, Lexington, Lincoln, and Marblehead and Swampscott, which have a limited time. Those are the ones that my research has come up with right now. There's nothing on the South Shore that I'm aware of.
And again, this proposal would be a complete ban on the use of gas power as opposed to any kind of restrictions with time.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. Oops, lower my hand.
Did we lose Jean?
No, Gene had to step away. Sorry. Mark, go ahead.
Hey, friend. Thanks for coming before us. I've got significant problems with this. I'll just be blunt. I support the spirit of it. I like living in a coastal town with nice background noise. The idea that landscapers are driving nice trucks means that they're all well off and making gobs of money and can afford lithium-ion batteries and chargers and all that, I think, is misplaced. Anyone that gets their lawn cut these days can tell you that prices for that are going up. There's a lot of reasons for that. Increased labor costs, I'm sure. Increased cost of fuel is about to hit these things. But many of us mow our own lawns. I know that's not entirely common in Cohasset, but I have a significant amount of money invested in this equipment myself that I use, and I like being able to use it. I think it's a bit short-sighted just to assume that everybody can flip the switch and buy all new equipment, whether they're personal homeowners or commercial enterprises, and be able to replace all these pieces of equipment. These are significant investments that people make. If you buy good equipment, Fran, I know you are a big fan of old machines. You buy good equipment, you take care of it, it'll last 10, 20, 30, 40 years. If someone just spent hundreds or thousands of dollars on equipment and they're being told they can't use it in the town they live in, they have to replace it with lithium-ion battery machines. And again, I support electrification. I understand where we're going with this. I'd be in favor of more restricted hours and days of usage. But the idea that everyone, landscapers or personal homeowners, should be expected to replace their equipment in short order, I think is a bridge too far for me, at least.
Well, I have a gasoline powered lawnmower tractor, and I've had one for years. We mow our own grass here, and was asked to be last night at the selectmen's meeting, and what do I do with the trimmings? I said, I use a rake and a broom. You know, does everyone's lawn, and this is, I don't mean to get in an argument, but does everyone's lawn have to look like the top of a pool table? You know, I cut everything, I mulch all my grass, everything goes right back on the ground, goes back where it came from. So, we're not talking about tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment for the average homeowner. I mean, I have a gasoline powered weed whacker. I'd get rid of that. They've got excellent electric ones, and they're not terribly expensive. I have an electric blower that I have to use sometimes, plug it in. Blows the leaves around where I want to blow them. So, I mean, there are other alternatives other than these great big backpacks that just totally fill the air full of unbelievable noise. And it's not the average homeowner that's at fault. It's these people that whose living is to, and a lot of these people who work for the landscaping companies, they're paid by the hour, so they take all the time they want blowing pieces of grass all over the place.
I'm not sure if that's how the business works, but we could talk elsewhere.
Yeah, sure. No, good points, Mark, though. Appreciate it.
Okay, so Mark, Tom, and then Mike Barclay.
So I won't belabor the points that others have made, but again, I just think of a small, whether you're a small or a big, shop, you could be a small high schooler that's doing this as a summer job, and this is your deal. It could be a large company that's made a significant investment recently, and now you're being forced into this. And again, if it's just a couple of pieces of equipment, you've got how are the mowers become different? And that gets rolled in a couple of years later, and we're forced to get all electric equipment. So it seems like it's something that could snowball going down the road, and it's not just contractors. I mean, think about the bill that the town as a entity is going to have to do to get rid of all of our existing equipment as a town, to do all of the ball fields, all of the school property, all of the town common things that we can't do with those gas units. Think about those unintended consequences. The
Well,
golf
tell me why we need a leaf blower to begin with.
to move leaves, but
rakes.
and the golf
That doesn't the
golf
wind.
club relies on gas powered equipment. It's a large commercial operation up there, and I just to say, oh, you can do that with batteries and battery packs, to me just doesn't feel right. It's not realistic. It's not to do that kind of quantity of turf is not realistic. And I really get squirrely here on the enforcement of it. I mean, if this was to come into play, are we going to have the police department responding to somebody with a weed whacker and a leaf blower, and how that's just going to create all kinds of messes for us as a town? I think it would be better suited if we addressed it through a noise bylaw in terms of hours, in making it a little bit slimmer so that it's still allowed, but slim it down. So, thanks.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at our noise bylaw, and we restrict domestic power tools that are powered mechanically by electricity or gasoline. But it's in overnight hours, and we have different definitions of what overnight is on the weekdays and weekends. So we already have this, and I'm wondering, under this noise bylaw, which says it can be enforced by the police, the director of public health, and the building commissioner, how many enforcement actions we've actually had. But is your article proposing specific amendment to this bylaw, specific language to amend it? I'm not seeing that, and again, like in the previous article, I'm questioning its legal sufficiency to come before a town meeting. It's not proposing a change, a specific change to a town bylaw.
When I spoke with the town attorney, she said that they would be making the massaging the wording so that it meets the intent of the law. I'm a nuts and bolts engineer. I'm not a lawyer. So
yeah, all right. Well, but I'm just curious as to what our enforcement record is with the current bylaw, because it does have restrictions on hours for, like I said, for all domestic power tools, including electric ones. So I'm just wondering, my question about things like this, I support it in principle, but enforcement, like, where is that enforcement going to come from? I think it's unrealistic. I know it's unrealistic to expect the building commissioner and the director of public health to do it, and I'm sure the police don't want to be engaged in it either.
no, I don't think so. I think it's a matter of if the rule is published and people know it, that the rule is, or people are going to obey the law. Now, is it going to be the occasional person that has a gas powered leaf blower going to use it once in a while? Probably. Is that going to be a big deal? To uses it at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning, it could annoy a few people. But I can't speak to
well, under our current bylaw, you can't use it at 7 in the morning on Sunday morning.
Oh, I know it, but that hasn't stopped some people.
And maybe you make the hours tighter, but I mean, I agree with it in principle, but it's just the devil's in the details, and that's why I'd like to see what the details are in the actual language of a bylaw.
You are correct, Tom.
Mike Barclay.
Hi. Yeah, if you remember, I was the one who worked on the noise bylaw a couple
Yeah.
years, presented it at town meeting, and to Tom's point, the hours that were put into that contemplated this type of situation where we were restricting it, and I'd echo what Mark and Mark have said about the practicality of this. And I have an electric lawnmower, and it stinks, and it doesn't do the job that a gas mower does. I don't have a big yard, so I get through it, but I don't think it's realistic, especially on a commercial basis, to just wholesale change to electric. And I understand the intent, Fran, and I don't disagree with, it'd be nice to be moving towards electric and away from, gas powered everything. But I think, as Mark Maggi said, I just think this is a bridge too far, and maybe going back and looking at the hours and the enforcement of those. And one of the things we didn't get too deep into the decibel conversation is because, again, we didn't want the police having to run around with decibel meters to measure whether or not something was too loud from the property line or what have you. So we tried to strike a balance with that noise bylaw that had some teeth on the one hand, but was really very practical as well. So I'll stop there.
Well, let's not carry this too far along, because now you're all talking about electric lawnmowers, and that's not the issue. Now, could that happen later on down the road? Sure, of course, because somebody wants to complain about it. But right now, the adequate machinery for mowing large lawns, which is what most of these people have, are these 36 and 42-inch mowers that are driven by gasoline engines, and they do not make the same amount of noise that these leaf blowers do. And that's the point. This is to mitigate the noise, to mitigate the aggravation of the citizens who have to listen to that. Sometimes I have 3 or 4 of them going here in the neighborhood at the same time. I hear them over on River Road. It's just unbelievable, the cacophony.
I hear it also, but where does it stop? I mean, does it then go on, I can't use my snow blower because it's loud, and I got a shovel. I mean, it's just I hear you. Like the leaf blowers are obnoxious at times, and I curse them when I'm trying to read my paper on Saturday morning too. But I think we have to be careful about this getting extrapolated too far, and and that's my concern with just kind of moving forward with this at this point.
Yeah, well, I think we should look at the issue before us, which is very noisy leaf blowers. What happens?
You're saying just blowers, and very specific to that, then that might be different. But but again, it could lead to somebody doesn't like snow blowers, and and it just kind of, no pun intended, snowballs unnecessarily with unintended consequences.
Yep, could happen. But I think it's quite unlikely, but snow blowers don't make that much noise. I have one, and I couldn't get out of my yard if we didn't have one. So
exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for the listening.
Thank you. Mark, do you have some new?
Yeah, I have one just sort of like practical implication of, like, let's say this were to happen. Has anyone looked into other towns' implementation of this? And I know I have neighbors that have signed contracts for landscaping services for well into next year. Those companies now would come here and not be allowed to use certain pieces of equipment. Has anyone looked into the downstream impacts of what this might mean for that? We might have a whole bunch of angry homeowners whose landscaping companies are either going to drop them or tell them their prices are drastically increased because they have to buy all new equipment.
Maybe people would have to take care of their lawns.
To Fran's point, though, it's not lawnmowers that this addresses.
I'm not saying lawnmowers. I'm saying landscapers. They come with their lawnmowers, their leaf blowers, and their weed whackers. Fran said leaf blowers and weed whackers. I agree with Mike Barkley.
Mike's point also, but the intent of this is leaf blowers and weed whackers. So I guess we have to stick to that for now. Not to
cut you off, that doesn't change my question. When these landscaping crews show up, they show up with weed whackers and leaf blowers. Has anyone looked into that aspect of this in terms of implementation in other towns? If I signed a contract for landscaping services for the summer of 2026, and my landscapers own electric leaf blowers and electric weed whackers, gas leaf blowers and gas weed whackers that they use alongside their lawnmowers, and now they can't use those pieces of equipment in this town. Has anyone looked into the implications of that and how it's been impacted in other towns that have done this?
No, not I. No, certainly not. I'm worried about Cohasset. Selfishly.
Right. I'm just saying if this has any chance of successful implementation, we probably should consider that.
Vince, do you have?
Yep. Hey, Fran, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Quick question. Do we know the decibel difference between a lawnmower and what the leaf blower and weed whackers are?
I can't give you a number. I don't know, but I hear these people with their big mowers going around, and they're not, that they're mowing the grass. I mean, I know it makes some noise, but I don't find it objectionable.
I'm one of the guys that cuts his own grass, and I use a gas. I have both a gas powered weed whacker and an electric, and the electric one is gangly. It's off balance, so I tend to use my gas one. But when my neighbors have their lawn people come, I don't really see a big difference when their weed whackers are going and their lawnmowers. Sometimes they're using them simultaneously, and they just kind of blend into each other. I think the blowers may have a higher pitch, but I'm not really sure what the decibel difference is.
It's pretty high. The weed whackers, basically, I threw that in just because of the pollution aspect. Those are two-stroke engines. They mix oil with them. They just put out incredible amounts of pollution in the air. And I would like to think that I can leave this world with the air a little bit cleaner than it used to be. And been places all over the world and seeing where you can't see across the street on a bright sunny day because the smog is so thick. That's the biggest reason for the weed. The weed whackers aren't a really big problem. They don't make a whole lot of noise, but it's the pollution aspect of it. The big issue here is the leaf blowers and the noise.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to, instead of abolishing them all, I would like to tone it down. Like instead of having them all running on Sundays, because I think that's probably the primary homeowner that's doing their own lawns. The commercial guys are doing it during the week, but allow the private guys to use them on Saturdays would be beneficial to me, for one thing.
I have to tell you, I come home from work, eat dinner at 5 o'clock, and there is somebody who mows 3 connecting lawns every day when we sit down on our deck. So preaching to the choir on that one.
Yeah.
But that's a lawnmower.
Well, down here, down this end of town, they don't respect any day. It's whether it's Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays, Wednesdays, doesn't matter. They're going to be here when they're going to be here. They've got a number of lawns to do, and they've got to get them done. Now, with my next door neighbor here, when I asked them not to come on the weekends, they did come on one Sunday but there was been some rain and they got caught up behind. So, I understand they got to make a living. I have a Cub Cadet 42-inch lawnmower that I bought several years ago, and it is incredibly noisy, and I can't wait for it to die so I can buy a new quieter machine, to be honest with you. I'm not without fault myself.
I think, unfortunately, we have a large agenda.
Yep.
Maybe some things will be less controversial than the last couple. So we need to move on.
Thanks for listening, and thanks for your comments. I appreciate them.
You're welcome.
I hope you can see your way to support.
Hey, Fran.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't think we're ready to move on this. What do you folks think?
I think it's a bit poorly defined and convoluted. I mean, throwing in the fact that weed whackers were added because of pollution, that's a whole different debate. I mean, we're talking noise here, and facts matter. Like Google will give you decibel levels for lawnmowers versus weed whackers versus hedge trimmers versus leaf blowers versus snow blowers. And maybe leaf blowers are the biggest offender, sure, but then weed whackers were thrown in because of pollution, but a hedge trimmer, which I have, is louder. The loudest piece of equipment I have is actually my leaf vacuum, because there's a blade that spins at 10,000 RPMs. It's a terrible sound. It makes cleaning the gardens very easy. I disagree with the spirit of this, and I also think even if I did agree with it, it's poorly worded, and it's a poor effort at attacking this issue.
It's not very well thought out is the problem. You're just trying to abolish something without phase-ins or enforcements, and you're telling people this could happen in a month or two. So I think this needs to be a plan to present this, that this is, we'll do this then, we'll notify, this is what, but there's nothing there.
No, you didn't hear me. I said if this passes, I would say it would go into effect the first of next year.
First of next
That's
year.
a plan. I mean, I would call that a plan.
Yeah, well, that could be a little aggressive for folks.
Okay, I think we're going to move on because this is controversial. Particularly since I made my husband retire the gas blower because I hated it. And it took me 30 years to talk him into getting a generator. So we're not going to.
Those are loud as hell. So
we're not going there. So let's move on to Mass General Laws, Chapter 91 liability. Michelle, can you speak to that for us, please?
Sure. I believe at the beginning of the meeting, you asked if you could vote these as a group if they're perfunctory.
Yes, but that was a whole different list of.
Oh, I was going to say because Articles 11, 12, and 13 are just that, and I didn't know if you wanted to vote them in that format.
Sure. Can you just give us a brief overview of all three together, and then we can recommend or not.
So Article 11, MGL Chapter 91 liability. This allows work essentially in the harbor. And Article 12, also perfunctory. This is the annual article from the Board of Assessors to accept Section 4 of Chapter 73 that doubles the exemption for qualified elderly veterans, legally blind taxpayers. And Article 13 is simply to increase the maximum amount to $75,000 or 100% of the maximum amount established by the commissioner. And this enables seniors to qualify for more property tax deferral.
Okay, and I think number 14 is probably something that we could include because it just is rescission of authorized but
Sure. Yep. So same Article 14, rescission of authorized but unissued debt. At the present time, we have one authorization that we're going to rescind. It was from the Water Department. They authorized a borrowing of $3.6 million for their GAC treatment system. They used $300,000 of that for design and then decided to go with something different. So therefore, we'd like to rescind the $3.3 million.
I like that. Courtney, do you have a question?
Thanks, Jean. Michelle, just going back to 11, the way it reads, to see if the town will vote to assume liability for damages incurred by work that DEP does. Like, why is that here? And why would we assume liability for work that the state does? I'm missing something because we're saying it's, non-controversial. If I'm reading it wrong, please just stop me, somebody.
Not the same thing.
Yeah, so it is an annual article. And I can tell you that it's just a prerequisite for state funds. And it's legal language that's put in there in order to achieve these
Why is it
funds.
So every year we have to do this for state funds?
We do.
We had more debate about piping plovers at the last special town meeting. This is just, we just do it because they require it? DEP does?
Essentially. I wish I had a better answer for you, but
state contract rules
it's a requirement.
Okay.
Diane has something to add too, and she has a lot of experience in these things. So speak up, please.
The only thing I was going to add was that I think 11, 12, and 13 are pretty standard operating procedures in order to secure funds and sign contracts and all that with DEP. We do have to do the Chapter 91. I was just going to recommend that if we're going to vote a recommendation, we don't include Article 14 because that's something very different. That's something, it's slam dunk to rescind debt, but it's literally a different calculus. The rest of these are more administrative articles that happen every year. and we almost don't have a choice in any of them.
Right. Okay. So do I have a motion to recommend to annual town meeting Articles 11, 12, and 13?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Diane? Okay. Mike? B. Okay. Roll call, please. Diane Kennedy.
Diane Kennedy, aye.
Tom Callahan? Yep, Tom stepped away. Mike Flaherty?
Flaherty, aye.
Mark Cameron?
Mark Cameron, aye.
Vince Thornton?
Vince Thornton, aye.
Mike Barclay?
Mike Barclay, aye.
Courtney Murphy?
Courtney Murphy, aye.
Mark Maggi?
Mark Maggi, aye.
And Gina Stino, aye. Okay. So then we'll go on to Article 14, rescission of authorized but unissued debt.
I move that we recommend Article 14, rescission of authorized but unissued debt to, that's it, recommend it.
Okay. To annual town meeting. Do I have a second? Oh, Mike, you have comments?
Yeah, I just had a question, and I'm just looking at the draft that I'm looking at doesn't specify what specific debt is being talked about here.
Yeah, so you're correct. That is outlined in the motions, which you don't have a copy of now. But that is the only authorized and unissued debt. If you prefer to hold on that till you see the motion, that's fine.
No, if you say that the motion reflects what we've discussed, I don't see any need to hold it up. I just, wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Sure.
So we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second. Did you hear that second? I'm sorry.
Okay, I did. Thank you. Okay, roll call. Mike Barclay?
Mike Barclay, aye.
Tom Callahan?
Tom Callahan, aye.
Mike Flaherty?
Flaherty, aye.
Mark Cameron?
Mark Cameron, aye.
Vince Thornton?
Vince Thornton, aye.
Diane Kennedy, you're muted.
Diane Kennedy, aye.
Thank you. Courtney Murphy?
Courtney Murphy, aye.
Mark Maggi?
Maggi, aye.
And Gina Stino, aye. Okay, and then Article 15 is the Cohasset water rate structure. Is Chris Pratt here?
There is.
Okay. Welcome.
Good evening.
Chris. Sorry that we made you wait so long.
No worries. It was entertaining.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, so if you could explain your article, please.
Yes. So the Cohasset Water Department is seeking approval for the next 5 years of our water rates. The current 5-year rate structure will be expiring at the end of this fiscal year, fiscal 26. So we are seeking authorization or approval to enact the new rates for the next 5 years.
Okay, just as an example, can you tell us what the rate is for fiscal year 26 for the first item on the chart, so we have an idea what it's going up to?
Sure. So
27 says it's 203. I'm just curious what it would
go. So the base charge for a 1-inch meter, which the vast majority of the town has, would be going up $8 per quarter. So it's going from $195 to $203.
Okay.
For example.
Are these numbers based on a certain percentage typically?
So the percentage in this new rate structure is approximately 4% increase.
Okay.
Each year.
Okay. Mike Barclay, you have a comment or a question for
Chris? So what's the rhyme or reason for 4% compounded per year?
Generally, it's keeping pace with our operating expenses, and it also is laying the necessary foundation for our projected revenue needs for our capital plan.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I saw another hand. I thought, oh, Mark.
Just, I understand this is the 5 years going forward, but I think for the masses at town meeting, it might be helpful if they see the current column, if you're able to do that, just so it's not quite as alarming.
Sure, yeah.
That's why I asked, because I wasn't sure if it was 150 or.
Yeah, it's just a reference point. I mean, it's helpful. It's a barometer there. I think it would just be helpful so that people don't get too squirrely and this becomes a subject that gets more attention than it really needs, if you will.
Understood. Yeah. So I was going to give a brief presentation town meeting, and if you think it might be helpful, the estimated increase per year with those rates for the average user, the average household, would be between $50 and $65 per year. So if you think that may be the type of thing that would be helpful for people to understand, that's how the math generally works out.
Yeah, and again, I think it's maybe as simple as just adding that FY26 column in there, and then they can see it where it is, and I think it would just maybe take the temperature down a bit.
Okay, understood. I will do that.
Existing, so the people
understand the reasons for increasing fees, and just goes against Prop 2.5 and how that doesn't work out that well.
Right. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah. Thank you.
Courtney.
Thanks, Jean. Hey, Chris. So it's 4% in this current schedule. If you went back to the prior 5-year schedule, what was that year over year? Was that also 4%? So I think 26 is illustrative and important context, but where are we coming from and going to?
The previous 5 years increased approximately 2.6% year over year. So this is an increase from approximately 2.5 to 4.
2.5 to 4.
Correct.
Meaningful. And what have you guys done to mitigate operating expenses, and why are we going from 2.5 to 4?
Well, to answer the second question, 2.5 was too low. For one, the increase in operating costs far outpaced the 2.5% in rate increases. And then secondly, well, to answer your first question, what we've done to mitigate, primarily sourcing. So chemical costs is one of our largest expenses, and that has gone up considerably. So we're always working with our chemical suppliers and other suppliers to make sure we're getting the best prices. Secondly, one of our largest costs is our residuals management. So the byproduct of the treatment process, the sludge, is extremely costly. It's a very big part of our operating budget. So for the last 2 years, that has been an ongoing effort to make sure that is not impacting our budget. So those are a couple of the things, but in certain respects, there's not much we can do to mitigate. Chemical costs are always increasing. Utility costs, staffing, and labor costs are always increasing. So the water department in general does a very good job at managing our budget and maintaining our expenses within budget. But to mitigate cost increases, we don't have many moves based on today's market.
And sorry, one more, Chris. Forgive me, I don't know, if their capital plan is somewhere that is visible. You mentioned that some of this increase is associated with the capital plan, which makes perfect sense to me. Can I find that on the website?
So yes, I did give a presentation to the Capital Budget Committee a couple weeks ago. So that's available on YouTube. It's also available. The presentation material is also available on our website.
Awesome.
And I'd be happy to give that similar presentation to this board anytime asked. But we do have a 20-year capital plan, which has been in the works for about 3 years now. And at a high level, because it's not what this agenda item is about, but very briefly, we have initiated our 10-year capital plan for the water treatment plant modernization initiative. So phase one of that is to design and construct 3 new sludge lagoons, which is underway currently. We're beyond 60% design of our new sludge lagoons, and we expect those to be completed in 2028. In addition, we've initiated the process to begin the first phase of design planning on a new treatment plant. So we're going through a process of feasibility analysis and also planning for a pilot study, which essentially vets the treatment options we have that would be incorporated into the design of a new treatment plant. So the pilot study, the design, bidding, permitting, and construction of a new treatment plant will likely take approximately 8 years. So that's the path we're on right now. So the sludge lagoons and the treatment plant are the 2 major items in our capital plan at the moment.
Thank you.
Mike Barclay?
Yeah, Chris, I was just gonna say, I mean, it's no surprise to me that things are going from 2.6 to 4, but just it would be really good to be prepared to have some very hard comparisons to show to the, to town meeting when this comes up, because it's a natural question. People will ask it. It's a fair question, but if the 2.6 didn't cover your operating costs, then we're not in the business of losing money necessarily. And I'm sure you can even just highlight the chemical costs and show how much they've gone up in the last couple of years. Because if these were set 5 years ago, that was like going into, going into COVID, nobody had any idea how things were going to escalate in the next 5 years. And by all accounts, it doesn't look like it's slowing down. So just for what it's worth, any data that you kind of quickly show, just in case you need it, and this becomes a hot topic of conversation, I think will be very helpful.
Okay, good point. Thank you.
I have a quick question. Might be a
Yes.
little controversial. What do you do with the sludge?
So essentially, it gets recycled because
This
it
is
can be used, but the majority of the sludge is actually the chemicals that we use in the treatment process. It's less what we take out of the water. It's actually mostly chemicals, chemical residual that's combined with the stuff we're taking out of the water. So that is removed from the current lagoons and it's dewatered. So it's essentially like a wet, moist mud consistency. So it's mechanically dewatered, basically just spun in a centrifuge on site in a truck, in a trailer. And then once it's fully dewatered, it's trucked off site and brought to essentially like a landfill and other types of transfer stations.
Okay. I figured that there was some place that took it. I just wasn't sure where.
That's one of the biggest challenges, actually, is trying to find a place to take it. We struggled with that for about a year. We looked in Maine, we've looked in New York. So we have a good process now. That the reason why the sludge lagoons are phase one of our capital plan is because it is one of the most difficult challenges we face at the moment, based on our current design and our residuals management process. So we have a relatively good system in place right now. It just happens to be quite costly. So it's one of the main things we think about.
It's interesting because in my business, we probably swap dumpsters almost every day. Just at our shop, that's not even at customers' homes. So finding a place that will take this refuse is difficult. And at one point, shortly after COVID, they were closing up all of the landfills that were taking all of that junk, for lack of a better word. And there would be lines of places, of trucks that needed to offload their dumpsters. And people would just turn around and go home. They would close. It was kind of like during the gas shortage when you pulled up to the pump and you couldn't get gas and you had to turn around and go home.
Right.
Disposal is a huge issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine. That's why I'm glad to hear that you're making it not be quite so heavy and liquid laden. So it's an
Yeah,
process.
it is. It is. Yeah, it's, overall, and I'm sure everyone's seen it and heard it, but we're very focused on water quality in general, and we have a very difficult raw water source to treat, and our plant is 50 years old and it's undersized. So that's what we're working through right now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I appreciate the feedback for preparation of town meeting.
Great. Okay, so that is Article 15. Is it still 15?
It is.
Okay. So are we ready to recommend Article 15 to be included in the warrant for a town meeting with the revisions that we've requested to the presentation? Do I have a motion?
I'll move that we recommend to town meeting Article 15. Is that what it is? Yeah, 15.
Yes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please. Mike Barclay.
Mike Barclay, aye.
Tom Callahan.
Tom Callahan, aye.
Mike Flaherty.
Mike Flaherty, aye.
Mark Cameron.
Mark Cameron, aye.
Vince Thornton.
Vince Thornton, aye.
Courtney Murphy.
Courtney Murphy, aye.
Diane Kennedy.
Diane Kennedy, aye.
Mark Maggi.
Mark Maggi, aye.
And Gina Stino, aye. Okay, thanks very much, Chris.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, and then next is Article 18, creation of revolving fund for cemetery fees. And Glenn Pratt is going to be with us now.
He's here.
Okay. Hi, Glenn. Welcome.
How are you? Good evening, everyone. So this article talks about setting up a revolving fund for one of the sources of income for the cemeteries. The cemeteries have three sources of income. We sell graves. That money goes into an account called Sale of Graves. We take, by state law statute, we have to take 25% of the money we sell a grave for and put it into a perpetual care account. And the other source of income is fees for opening a grave, closing a grave, and burials and the associated time and procedures we have to do around that. So the perpetual care money is set aside, of course. The Sale of Graves account, we've been for the last 3 years, town meeting has been transferring money out of that account to pay for landscaping services at the 4 cemeteries. But the fees that we collect, which are about $35,000 a year, go back into the general fund. So the reason we want to set up a revolving account to have this money stay with the cemeteries is it's probably only going to be another year or so that our Sale of Graves account on its own will be able to sustain the landscaping cost, which we contract out. And the reason we contract it out is because we have trouble getting the right number of people for summer help. They don't stay throughout the whole season when grass has to be cut. Burials happen anytime and in any quantity during the week. So you have to pull people off cutting services and landscaping things to tend to the burial. We have a lot of people on the park department that have a lot of seniority, so they have a lot of time off. So the system for the last 3 years has been working very well with the contract service. And so by making this a revolving fund, this extra $35,000 or so a year will assure us that we'll be able to keep contracted services for landscaping. And that's the gist of what we're trying to do. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Diane?
The only question I have is in terms of the order of the articles, because I think we create the amount of money in a separate article from the creation of the, am I right about this? The revolving fund, and we have that $75,000, unless it's a different $75,000 in Article 9. So I want to make sure we don't approve funding for something that doesn't exist because we haven't created it until Article 18.
You're correct.
Well, no,
correct,
we
Diane.
have.
They're two separate articles.
Great.
Yeah.
Sorry, Glenn.
Go ahead, Michelle. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
No, sorry. I was just, they're two separate articles. There's a little bit of confusion because they both are cemetery articles.
And they're both 75,000.
And they're both 75,000. But there's different uses for each.
Okay, and so where would we create the $75,000? This
Well-
creates the fund. What is the motion going to also fund it?
Yes.
Okay.
No, we fund it from our fees that we charge funeral homes for the services we provide.
So we're just
You-
creating
you
the
buy-
structure up to.
Yeah, right. So for example, you buy a grave for $2,200. 25% of that goes to perpetual care, and the rest goes to sale of graves. Then when you come to use your cemetery parcel, you have to pay for the opening, closing of the grave, and buying a footing for your monument, those kind of things. That's where this money comes from.
Did you say 35,000 a year? Not 70.
About 35,000. It's hard to tell, but if you look back over the last 10 years, just the number of graves we sell doesn't relate to how many burials we have a year, of course. So
Diane said something about 75, and I know that's in the other article, the allocation of funds. But I think that the revolving fund is, am I correct, is 35?
no, the revolving fund is funded around 35,000 a year at the current rate,
Right.
but it has to be capped at some amount. So we decided 75 would probably be good.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying that.
It's in Article 18, yeah.
Okay. All right. Are you all set, Diane? Okay, Mike Barclay?
So Michelle, can you maybe walk me through the mechanics of how this works? So we're funding in Article 9, it says for cemetery maintenance accounts, 75,000, and then allowed expenses in Article 18 is for cemetery maintenance. So is Article 9 funding the upcoming fiscal year, and then the creation of this account funds subsequent years? I'm sorry if I'm missing something here.
No.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Glenn. Sorry.
The only thing is, Mike, we're looking ahead. We can't know for sure that the sale of graves account in fiscal 28 will actually have enough money to fund the landscaping service. So we want to start using this revolving fund money to be certain that we can pay that bill.
Instead of having it just front load to the
General fund.
fund.
Yeah.
So going forward, then, will it be an annual vote to say, okay, we are funding the cemetery revolving fund X amount this year based on a forecast? Or I'm just wondering, in subsequent years, what's around kind of the numbers that are going to be going into this fund, and kind of the checking mechanism, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Well, Michelle probably has a better answer for that, but the fees that we collect will go into the fund, and they'll stay there until some reason there is to take it out to make some line item come whole in our budget. That's the way I would see it, but Michelle knows better. For
So
sure.
the only mechanism, Mike, that we have after this vote would be where you see in Article 10, the departmental revolving funds annual spend limits. Those spend limits can be modified each year based on the revenue impacts that we have. For instance, on that one article, and I don't want to confuse things, but Article 10, you'll see specialized inspections in there, and there's $100,000 highlighted. That was set at $50,000, and we're asking to increase it due to the revenue we expect from permits and inspections. So that would be your mechanism right there.
Every year, Article 10 will now just have an extra line item for the cemetery.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Perfect.
Sure.
Any more questions? No? Okay. So do I have a motion to recommend Article 18, creation of revolving fund for cemetery fees, to be added to the warrant for our annual town meeting?
So moved.
I'm sorry.
So moved.
Thanks, Mike. And do I have a second? Diane?
I just want to clarify the motion, that the motion is to recommend this article to town meeting.
Right.
Included on the warrant. So I'll second that amendment. That clarification.
The motion, okay.
That amendment.
Leontina, you got that?
Okay. Roll call, please. Mike Barclay,
Mike Barclay, aye.
Tom Callahan,
Tom Callahan, aye.
Michael Flaherty,
Michael Flaherty, aye.
Mark Cameron,
Mark Cameron, aye.
Vince Thornton,
Vince Thornton, aye.
Diane Kennedy,
Diane Kennedy, aye.
Courtney Murphy,
Courtney Murphy, aye.
Mark Maggi,
Mark Maggi, aye.
and Gina Stino, aye. Okay, thank you. Thanks so much, Glenn.
All right, thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thanks, Glenn.
Yeah.
So the next one, amendments to South Shore Regional Vote Tech School, Article 22. Let's make sure it's still Article 22. It is not.
I have it
So-
20 in the version I'm looking at.
Yep, it is Article 20. So all this amendment is to add another school district into the South Shore Vote Tech school district, where they're adding Pembroke into the school district, and it needs to be voted at town meeting.
Okay. Okay, you said Pembroke?
Yes.
Yes.
And do we need to name that school district in our motion?
No.
No, okay. All right. So I think this is pretty straightforward. Anytime we add a school district, it helps us monetarily, so that's a good thing. And particularly with their building plan going forward, I think that the more schools that participate, the better. The trades are very important, as we all know. So I have a couple of questions. Mark Cameron?
Yeah, no, I think that is a good thing, just in terms of it'll just dilute our portion of the contribution. Was there chatter about, or is it simply just chatter at this point about Marshfield exiting?
Yep, so it is just chatter at this point. They have not rescinded their seats for the coming years.
And just out of curiosity, for rescinding, is that strictly on them as a district, and we have no way in, we don't weigh in on that?
You can't hold them to it.
Thanks.
I saw another hand up, but I don't know. It doesn't
Yeah.
look like.
No,
Okay.
I had a hand up. I just assumed that our market cap decreased if another school came in, so I just wanted to double check that. So
Okay, great. So do I have a motion to recommend Article 20, amendments to South Shore Regional Vocational Technical High School Agreement, to the warrant for annual town meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
second.
Okay. Mark. And Vince. All right, roll call, please. Mark Cameron,
Mark Cameron, aye.
Vince Thornton,
Vince Thornton, aye.
Tom Callahan,
Callahan, aye.
Mike Barclay,
Mike Barclay, aye.
Diane Kennedy,
Diane Kennedy, aye.
Courtney Murphy,
Courtney Murphy, aye.
Michael Flaherty,
Michael Flaherty, aye.
Mark Maggi,
Mark Maggi, aye.
and Gina Stino, aye. Great, thank you. And the next article is 21. Amendment to Cohasset Bylaw, Chapter 244, Article 2.
Yeah, and our town clerk, Elizabeth Legg, is coming in to speak about that.
Okay, great. It's the beauty of virtual meetings.
Lisa, you're on mute. No.
Try the lower left-hand corner, Lisa. Sometimes the one with the picture doesn't work.
Lisa, you're on here twice. Do you want me to promote the other account? Yes. Mhm.
I think you're all set. The microphone went away.
Yeah, we're still not hearing any sound.
Oh, and she's frozen.
All right, I think I can run through this while Lisa's having some technical difficulties. So Article 21, this amendment is really just to bring our bylaws consistent with our rules and regulations for permitting. This addresses the residency requirements in the all facility permits for both Government Island and Sandy Beach. It's just cleaning up the language to be more consistent with the rules and regulations that were just adopted.
Diane?
I just want to say congratulations for making some small language changes that I think are going to make a very big difference.
That's to Lisa's credit.
Any other questions? No? Okay. So do we have a motion to?
I'll move Article 21 Amendment to Cohasset Bylaw, Chapter 2244, Article 2, blah, 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 to town meeting.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch who that was. Tom?
It's me, yeah, Tom, sorry.
Okay. Roll call, please. Diane Kennedy,
Diane Kennedy, aye.
Vince Thornton,
Vince Thornton, aye.
Tom Callahan,
Tom Callahan, aye.
Michael Flaherty,
Michael Flaherty, aye.
Courtney Murphy,
Courtney Murphy, aye.
Mike Barclay,
Mike Barclay, aye.
Mark Cameron,
Mark Cameron, aye.
Mark Maggi,
Mark Maggi, aye.
and Gina Stino, aye. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa.
Okay. And then we have Article 23.
So Article 23, I'm going to ask that we skip. There's been a recent vote by the Conservation Commission. The intent of this article was to reduce the number of board members from 7 to 5. I believe they've since taken a vote that they wanted to read differently. They wanted to read between 5 and 7, not just 5. I don't have the language back from legal counsel as of yet, so I ask that we skip on this for tonight.
Okay. All right, then we will move along with the agenda. So the next item is approval of minutes. There is a little confusion because we have 3 sets of minutes to approve. The first is December 3rd. The second is February 10th. And the third is labeled December 3rd, but it's actually March 4th, 2026. So if you could make that change at the top of that last set of minutes, we can go through and approve them individually. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the advisory committee minutes of December 3rd, 2025?
Jean, I think there's just one minor edit to that particular document.
Okay.
The bottom of page 1, it says relation to the open media law. It should say open meeting law.
Good catch. Great, thank you. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the December 3rd, 2025 minutes as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please. Diane Kennedy,
Diane Kennedy, aye.
Bill Flaherty,
Michael Flaherty, aye.
Courtney Murphy,
Courtney Murphy, aye.
Vince Thornton,
Vince Thornton, aye.
Mike Barclay.
Got to abstain. I didn't have a chance to review them.
Okay. Tom Callahan,
Tom Callahan, aye.
Mark Cameron,
Mark Cameron, aye.
Mark Maggi,
Mark Maggi, aye.
and Gina Stino, aye. And Mike, if you find anything else in there, just let us know at the next meeting and we can revote them. Okay, so the next is the advisory committee minutes for February 10th, 2026. Any questions, comments, changes? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the advisory committee minutes for February 10th, 2026?
So moved.
Second.
Who seconded? Mark Maggi?
Mark Cameron.
Okay, sorry.
Marks are interchangeable.
Between the mics and the marks. Okay, so I have a motion and a second, and now we need a roll call. Please, Diane Kennedy,
Diane Kennedy, aye.
Vince Thornton,
Vince Thornton, aye.
Tom Callahan,
Tom Callahan, aye.
Mark Cameron,
Mark Cameron, aye.
Mike Barclay,
Mike Barclay, aye.
Courtney Murphy,
Courtney Murphy, aye.
Michael Flaherty,
Michael Flaherty, aye.
Mark Maggi,
I'll abstain. I missed the meeting.
okay, and Gina Stino, aye. Okay. So then the next set of minutes is, yeah,
I have something on this next set, the March 4th, that, as you noted, is termed December 3rd at the top, once we amend that. If you scroll to the section topics, not reasonably anticipated within 48 hours, it's the second to last section before adjournment. In the sort of second third of the paragraph, second half of the paragraph, I should say, there's a statement that a better use of resources might be for a grassroots committee to. It's not a statement of fact, and so it needs to be attributed, because it's not a statement that the committee believes this to be the case, but that somebody mentioned it, which is fine. It's an accurate depiction of what was mentioned, but it is not a representation of the committee, and so I think it needs to be worded appropriately that way.
so we can word it, a suggestion was made.
Sure, by a member.
A suggestion was made. Okay, so it will now read, a suggestion was made by a member that a better use of resources might be for a grassroots committee to lobby the legislature to increase the cap on the tax levy.
I think that works.
Okay,
That's accurate, thanks.
great. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the 4th, 2026 minutes as amended?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Okay, roll call, please. Diane Kennedy,
Diane Kennedy, aye.
Vince Thornton,
Abstain as I was joining the meeting as you were absolving the meeting. So
Right.
timing.
Tom Callahan,
Tom Callahan, aye.
Mark Cameron,
Mark Cameron, aye.
Mike Barclay,
Barclay, aye.
Courtney Murphy,
Courtney Murphy, aye.
Michael Flaherty,
Michael Flaherty, aye.
Mark Maggi,
Mark Maggi, aye.
and Gina Stino, aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, so those were all approved. Next is a budget review. Excuse me, and
Yep. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to share my screen, and I'll put on screen Appendix A. As I indicated last night at the select board meeting, there were some changes. The changes have been made. We have a balanced budget. This will be the first committee to see the balanced budget. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So as I did last night, I'm just going to run down these budgetary numbers, and if anyone has any questions, please feel free to stop me, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. So Appendix A, as you've seen in the past, is broken down by department. We have administrative services, which include
Michelle, excuse
yeah.
me. So are the numbers that are on your screen the amended numbers? Just so, okay, thank you.
Yep. And they're just a slight variation from last evening.
That's fine.
So we have it broken out by departments. We have administrative services. So this includes town moderator, board of selectmen, town manager, human resources, advisory, reserve funds, the town accountant, board of assessors, treasurer collector, legal services, chief technology, town technology, town clerk, permits and inspections, and unclassified. As you can see by these, many of them stay fairly flat. Some go down. You'll see an increase here in the human resource line item, and that's simply due to the allocation of money that was once in a different category. We're right-sizing the budget now and putting things where they actually belong. You'll see a decrease in legal services. The reason for that is some of the legal matters have concluded. Therefore, we don't feel as though we need to carry as much for legal services. And you'll see the unclassified number increased. That is typically the water that's charged back to the town. That's what that unclassified number represents. Then we'll go down to public safety, where we have police, fire, building commissioner, emergency management, harbor master, and shellfish constable. You'll see an increase in police. I misspoke last night. The SROs are not within this line item. They are in a line item below. However, the increase in police is due to union negotiations, as well as the regional dispatch center allocation within this budget, and that alone increased $100,000. Once again, an increase in fire due to union negotiations. And you'll see a fairly significant decrease in the building commissioner line item, and that's primarily due to creating that revolving account last year. Therefore, we're able to charge more expenses to that line item, therefore lessening the burden here. Then we can go down to the educational services expenses. The Cohasset schools are getting $26 million of the total budget. School support officers are at 187,965. There's a slight reduction there due to a reduction in some staffing needs. South Shore VOTEC, we took an increase there. That's actually great news. We have some more students going to the VOTEC school, so we're paying for additional seats, which is not something terrible. We'll go down to public works and facilities. The DPW is at 1.7 million. Snow and ice removal. Here is that $127,000. This is the only account we can deficit spend. We know in FY26, we spent more than the 127. However, we're hoping in FY27 that we can stay pretty consistent with the budget number.
Michelle, sorry,
Yep.
can I jump in? So if that additional school, Pembroke, comes into the VOC, would that decrease that allocation a little bit?
It may in the future years. However, what we're going to be up against in the future years is their new school. So we'll be paying debt for their new school.
Right, and I think they have a 5-year program that they evaluate the 5 years to come up with their percentage allocation, right?
That's exactly right.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, streetlight is streetlight maintenance. The transfer station at 814, and facilities management. I can tell you, Department of Public Works, transfer station, and facilities management, all have new union contracts as well. And then we'll go down to health and welfare, which is the Board of Health, Elder Affairs, and Veteran Services. The only number that really sticks out there is Veteran Services. It did decrease, and the reason being is there was a line item that hadn't been used year over year. Therefore, we reduced that budget. Culture and recreation, you have your library line item. Your recreation is simply just for salaries for 2 employees. Common Historic Commission and Historical Preservation stay flat year over year. As far as the debt service number, we're seeing a slight decline in the debt service payment. This number does not include any interest, so therefore that number will come back at special town meeting as a supplement. Benefits and insurance, we have our pension assessments, workers' comp, unemployment, health insurance, life insurance, Medicare, property and liability insurance. You'll see your increases here in health insurance, as we discuss quite often, and again in the pension numbers. Our total budget is $58,664,556, and that is a balanced budget. We have our 2 enterprise funds. The sewer enterprise fund is coming in at slightly over $2.4 million, where the water prize interfund is coming slightly over $6 million. You know, that was quick. If anyone has any questions on particular line items, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Michelle, how the unemployment line went up 4x and
So
workers' comp went actually down significantly. Just curious, really.
Yep. So the unemployment line item went up due to layoffs townwide. When we built the budget, we accounted for that in the event that we have to fund more unemployment liabilities. Workers' compensation did come down. That is an annual number given by our property and liability insurance. It's been trending lower this year due to a lack of claims.
Thank you.
Sure.
And Michelle, is health insurance covering any potential increase in deductibles? I know that's part of the teacher conversation.
Yeah, no. So this insurance number is without adding any deductibles to the plan. We are hoping that we can continue discussions to add a deductible to our plan. We feel as though we got lucky this year with being able to hold this number for health insurance. In the future years, we won't be as lucky. So therefore, we're starting the conversations about adding a deductible, which will mitigate those larger increases in the future.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, I see hands. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Tom?
Yes. Is there an expanded version of this that breaks down each of these departments further?
There is.
Can we see that at some point?
You sure can. I can email it. I can put it in the OneDrive for you.
Thank you.
Oh, that is one question that I had before I go on with questions. Can everybody else access the OneDrive?
Yes.
Okay. All right, good. All right, next question is Courtney.
Thanks. I think I had mostly Tom's question. If we have that level of detail, we'll be able to sort of, I think, highlight where there are, to your point, Michelle, some were even, some were down, some were up, some are significantly up. Certain of the explanations do not explain it all. And I guess overall, my question is, we hear a lot that there are contracts under negotiation. I completely understand that. I guess what I'm trying to figure out, and I don't know that we can answer it on this call though, is we have constraints, the constraint of what revenue comes in every year. And what I'm somewhat confused by is I think I hear that, well, a contract was signed, and it's sort of like, well, okay, well, I guess that's great and that's good, but there are constraints to that. And it just seems like we keep hearing there was a contract signed. I'm just trying to figure out where to get some information on how constraints were considered, as opposed to continuing to come back to the budget and say, well, it just keeps going up 10%, 11%. These are big budget increase in some areas, and they're uncomfortable given the conversations that we have had with the school budget.
Right. No, and I can appreciate that, Courtney. And that's a great question. What I can say to that is I was provided with the numbers after the contracts were negotiated. I wasn't involved. I'm building the budget the best I can based on the information that I received. However, with that being said, that line level detail that you're asking for, I think will uncover a lot of the questions you have.
Awesome.
And I know Diane has asked, and we do have that information that'll also go in your OneDrive, is year over year. Let's see actuals, not budget numbers. We want to see actuals year over year versus, what we're projecting now. So while we have a budget number for FY 26 and 25, 24, the actuals coming in will paint a better picture for you.
Agree. Thank you. That'd be great. Okay.
Great. Diane?
Yeah, and just on the actuals, that wasn't to create more work or for us to start parsing those numbers, but they do help see where things trend as opposed to budget over budget. And do I understand that? So all of the contracts that were negotiated this year are finalized and they're included in the different line items? Because sometimes we've approved budgets with just a kind of a placeholder number, a few $100,000 to cover the contract negotiations that might still be pending, but those are all set.
They're all set. The only negotiation that's still outstanding is the teachers. However, speaking with Superintendent Shannon, she indicated that she has a number in there based on the conversations that they're having. So she feels confident that the number that she has will play out through negotiations.
That full school budget. And if you don't mind just going up back to the top for that number that in the unclassified.
Yes, the 490.
Yeah. And is that, so looking at year over year unclassified, has that always been utilities? And is it better to categorize it just as that?
Yeah, we probably should. Yes.
I would recommend that. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, any more questions? I can only see 4 or 5 people here, so I'm not sure if anybody else has their hand up, Michelle.
I don't see any other hands raised.
Okay, so this was a review, so we don't need to take any action on it at this point. So the next item is on your agenda at 8 p.m. Unfortunately, we're a little bit late. Is change meeting date from Wednesday 3/18 to Thursday 3/19, discussion and vote. And I'm including that with topics not reasonably anticipated within 48 hours of the meeting, because I was just informed of this a couple of days ago, that this would be for the purpose of a joint meeting with the Select Board and the Capital Budget Committee. Capital Budget has requested this. So I'm wondering if you folks are available on the 19th. I would not be anticipating asking you to do 2 nights in a row, just so you know.
For curiosity, is this a single subject meeting or is this just
I think it's a review of the cap. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yep. So we're requesting a meeting, but there was a meeting requested by the Public Safety Building Committee to go before the Select Board on the 19th to review their cost estimate and their project plan. We thought it was best that all 3 committees hear the same thing at the same time. So we're asking for advisory and capital to be present at this meeting if at all possible. Therefore, everyone can hear the same thing at the same time. And the meeting would start at 7:30 p.m. It's a hybrid meeting. You could come in person to Wilcott Commons, or you could participate on Zoom.
Anyone have any questions? Is everybody available next Thursday?
I would
Yes.
I would be a maybe via Zoom, Gene.
Same Thursdays are a maybe for me.
Okay. So that still leaves 7 of us.
So Gene, Thursday night is my traditional scout meeting, but I can, have other leaders take over and join this meeting if need be.
Okay, that would be great if you could do that. I don't like to change meeting nights, but this makes sense to do. Okay, so
I'd rather join the meeting than do baseball carpool, so I'll see if I can get someone else to drive a bunch of 9-year-old boys to and from baseball. So we'll see.
I don't think this, Michelle, I don't think this really needs a vote. I mean, I am the one that schedules the meeting dates. So
No, we don't need a vote. We just needed to know if we would have participation by the committee.
yeah, no, it says discussion vote, but we don't need a vote on this. Okay, so we will see you on the 19th at 7:30 p.m. And as Michelle said, it's hybrid. So if you can't get to Wolcott Commons for the meeting at 7:30, you are certainly welcome to participate via Zoom.
And Jean, I believe the discussion and vote had to do with the reorganization of the committee.
Okay, and I'm going to put that on hold until after town meeting, just so you know. I mean, that will add a continuum of me. The only difference is that I will not be available the week of town meeting. So my trusty vice chair will be popping up from his seat if need be to answer questions on town meeting floor.
Okay, great.
That's good. We already covered the topics not reasonably anticipated. So at 9:20, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Tom and who?
Yep. Oh, no, somebody else.
I think I moved it and Mark Maggi seconds.
Dan and Mark.
Okay. All right. So roll call, please. Tom Callahan.
Tom Callahan, aye.
Michael Flaherty.
Michael Flaherty, aye.
Courtney Murphy.
Courtney Murphy, aye.
Mark Maggi.
Mark Maggi,
Vince Thornton.
Vince Thornton, aye.
Diane Kennedy.
Diane Kennedy, aye.
Mike Barclay.
Mike Barclay, aye.
Mark Cameron.
Mark Cameron, aye.
And Gina Stino, aye. And good luck finding a sub driver, Mark Maggi.
Yes.
Good night. Thank you.
See you, folks.
See you later.
Thank you.